The Rock Whisperer. Do you hear the earth talking to you?
Hi, I'm Mr. Levin from Galway Central School District, and I'm here with Mike Pope, PhD from the Texas A&M University. Mr. Pope, I have a few quick questions to ask you about your career. When did you first know you wanted to study geoscience?
When I took my first geology class as a sophomore at Grossmont Community College in San Diego, I had not taken a science class. I was going to be a history major, and I really liked the class. I went on a field trip on a weekend, and there was a new instructor from San Diego State, very young guy, and I said, "So what do you do for work?" And he goes, "Oh, when I'm not teaching, I have this job where I go outside and I look at rocks and I make observations and I get paid for it." And I said, "Well, I want to do that," because I had been spending summers hiking in the Sierras with my good friends from high school, and so I'd gone out and studied rocks somewhat, but I didn't know you'd get paid for it.
That's awesome. What was your educational path? Which colleges did you attend to get your different degrees?
So I was at the community college. I went to a UCLA mainly to run track, but I got a geology degree there at UCLA, and then I worked for a couple of years in San Diego for a civil engineering company. Went to the University of Montana, got a master's, went back to, this time to Sacramento. I thought I was going to get to go to UC Davis. That didn't work out. So I worked for a year and a half engineering companies. And then my wife and I moved to Virginia. I got my PhD at Virginia Tech. And I got a postdoc at MIT. And then I went to work at Mobil for a year. They got bought by Exxon. They told us they're going to lay off 60% of us. That didn't sound like a good idea to me. So I went and took a teaching job at Washington State. I taught there 10 years, and then I moved to Texas A&M about 11 years ago.
So long path to get to where you
are now. Very long path. Me and my wife have traveled all over the country.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
So what was your area of research when you did your PhD, and what is your current area of study that you do?
So for my PhD, I looked at Ordovician rocks in Kentucky and Virginia that are, what we were looking for was what was the signature for the Ordovician glaciation. Ordovician glaciation occurred when there were very high PCO2 values in the atmosphere, so you wouldn't expect there to be a glaciation, but there was. We have good evidence in the rocks there was that. So we were a long ways away. We wanted to see what the far field effects were of that sea level rise and fall. So that's what I did for my PhD. And then now I sort of look at all kinds of different things with climate change, long and short-term climate change, basin history. I still study carbonates. I still look at a lot of limestone, and I have students that work a lot of different places around the globe.
Cool. So obviously you've probably done lots of interesting things that you've done, but can you pick one thing that was the most interesting thing that you've done that's science related?
I mean, I get to go to many different places, but I really like working in northern Canada and Yukon and Northwest Territories of Canada. It's a beautiful place. People haven't been there very much. We've been to places that I know no one's ever been to on the surface of the earth. So it's always interesting and fun to me is to see new stuff that people have not been able to look at in the past.
One of the places I want to try to visit at some time too.
It's beautiful.
So what is one of the most memorable, maybe besides the Yukon, memorable places you've been able to travel for your job?
Easy. I was able to, in 1999, to go to Antarctica. I had written a grant with a guy, and I was supposed to go to Antarctica, but then I got the thing with ExxonMobil didn't work out, and I moved to Washington State. So I didn't think I was going to get to go, but I did get to go for about 3.5 weeks, and it was just a great experience. I got to go to New Zealand and then down to Antarctica for a time, and I came back and I showed up in Pullman, Washington on Christmas Eve with my daughter, who's a year and a half old, and it's a lot of fun.
Nice. So that's the most difficult continent to get off the list. So.
Yeah, it is.
And the last question we have for you is, what is a question that you wish people would ask you when they talk to you about your job and why?
How do you know what the paleoclimate looks like? What does climate look like in the past? And we tell them, we try and say that we understand the climate today, so we try and use that as an analog to see what you would see in the past. Now we know that there are time periods in Earth's history where we don't have present day values of PCO2 at 3,000 parts per million, which they had back in the late Pennsylvanian and Mississippian. But there are things that are very similar, and that if you just take your time, work through the data, you can figure out what the paleo climate was like, and trying to be able to understand that and then tell that to people, talk about how that's changed over history. I think that's really fun, and it's, people don't always ask us those kind of questions, unfortunately. So,
Well, Dr. Pope, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
you're welcome, Paul. Hope that worked.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Don't forget to listen to the earth. You just may